Everybody, welcome in. We've got a really cool deck profile. Everyone knows I love Vegeks, and I was super stoked to see Zach make top cut at the most recent PPG event. Zach, congratulations and welcome to Hermit Style.
Oh, thanks, man. Glad to be here. Yeah, it was a really interesting weekend.
Yeah.
Just big competitive event. You like to have those that don't happen very often.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. How was it getting to? Because I mean, we haven't had a ton of IRL events. I don't know when the last time you played IRL was, but how was it just being able to play in person?
It felt really good. Saw a lot of familiar faces. They brought all the big guns out for that event. You know, the Hill Twins were there. Every other big name that's in that area was there. It was really nice meeting up, seeing all those guys, seeing other people I've played with in the past.
Yeah,
Pretty good event.
that's awesome. And got in there with Vegeks, which is so cool, so cool. So let's just jump into the deck profile here. So we'll start with the battle cards. The first three I have pulled up here, just your pretty much your normal, your time agents, the Vegeta, Trunks, and Kai, which you played at four each. I think that's pretty standard. So we can move past that. And then obviously we have the four Vegeta super combo. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
standard.
yeah. You play four of that, nothing less.
Yep. Okay, cool. So moving on, we have four Goku True Fighting Spirit, and then those are your four Vegetas, your four Gokus that interact with your SS3 thwarting, which we had at three. So how did the thwarting engine feel in the list?
I mean, honestly, it was basically a Champa on the leader. 25. Nobody wanted to take. Mostly, the thwarting was there to remove a blocker and get in double strike. I mean, honestly, it was super good, but it didn't last long.
Yeah.
Like especially with people being able to remove it, it just never stuck long. Like if you cleared a battle card and hit two off a unison or hit two on life, hit them from 5 to 3, the card did its job, and
Yeah.
that's basically where it stands. You know,
Interesting. So you pretty much viewed it like literally just like an FDC.
yeah, it did what it was supposed to do, and then someone got rid of it nearly every time. And if it hung around longer than that, the game was just won that next turn.
Nice.
Sorry, I have a little noise back here.
No, you're totally fine. You're totally fine.
uh,
Um,
yeah, that that's as easy to put it. People would get rid of it as soon as it stuck. If they could get rid of it, then they would. If they could trunks it, they would. I mean, freeze a counterplay, anything they could to get rid of it, which was honestly kind of a good thing. It baited out other stuff
right.
because if you're grabbing it back with the 30k Goku, they just ignore the Goku and pop it, and then you swing in with the Goku with a chomp on it. That's 40k double strike. It took the 25 and lost less cards.
That's a really good way to think about it, and it's same energy
Yeah,
investment. Goku's free, and Chomp
it
only
was a
costs
good,
one.
yeah, it was a good bait out stuff kind of thing.
That's really cool. That's really cool. All right, cool. So moving on, we had four Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan. So this is really interesting. How did this card run in the format? Did you like it, not like it? And my other question is, were you using it more for the effect or just to keep pushing and getting that damage in?
Both. If it sat there against Icarus, Icarus would go out of their way to get rid of this card. Anything they could do to get rid of this card. I had people swinging the little one drop slug at it and comboing it up to 9k to get rid of this card. Yeah, no joke.
It's
Dude
hilarious.
played the one drop slug, swung it, comboed up to 9k. I would just combo one card, make it 10k. He did that with all three slugs, tapped himself out, and I went all in on the next turn.
Wow.
Yeah, just trying to get rid of it so he could.
That's
He
hilarious.
wasted more cards trying to get rid of it. But
Right.
mostly it was there for the turn two push. There was every game I went first, I turn two killed if they attacked me. So if I
Wow.
play a Goku or a Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan, they attack me once, and then I have any combination of Self Awakeners in my hand or hit a Trunks. Then I awaken turn two. I've already swung at them 2, 3, 4 times. I drop my Overwhelm of choice, Champa, and either Overwhelm turns into the same thing. Beyond All Limits with a thwarting is a single strike 30K with double strike following up. And if I have a Fighting Against Fate with a Champa, it's a 25K swing single with a double strike followed up after that. So anyway, you can close the game because your unison has double strike, your leader lethal. So turn 2, that's mostly what the Self-Awakeners were for. But if it put in extra work that they had to try to get rid of it because it was hindering their gameplay, then that was just a plus.
For sure.
Because you want to awaken as fast as you can.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's really cool to see how aggressive you're playing this leader, kind of like how it used to be back in the day. We saw it kind of shift to more mid-range, and even I've been messing with more control strategies with the deck, so I really love seeing this kind of like old school feeling Vegeks list. It's really, really dope.
Well, yeah, my kind of shifts into more of a control variant, because if you looked at my main deck, you see I don't main Demigra.
Yeah.
which was weird at first, but you don't need it in every matchup.
Well, yeah, the way you're playing it, 2 energy is a lot.
Yeah, 2 energy is insanely expensive not to push damage through.
Right.
So when you're signing it in, you want to kind of dial it back, which throws the opponent off, because you just like went ham on them, and now you're like not attacking them at all.
Right,
and
right.
Like,
pulling back a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So kind of already started talking about your Overwhelm lineup. I'll pull them up here. So we have the 4 Fighting Against Fate, 3 Goku Beyond All Limits, 2 Secret Identity. You've pretty much already gone into why you play these cards. So the only question I have is how do you like the ratios, and how did you like 4 Fighting Against Fate?
I just wanted to see it mostly the turn 2 kill. Just push that damage in there, because if you don't kill them, then they're sitting at 1 or 2, and they've got a handful of cards, but they have very little plays they can do with 1 or 2 energy. So, and I did also Overwhelm. It was mostly for Overwhelm. The Brainwash No More.
Oh, right.
That
yeah,
card,
let me pull him up too.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. He was a uninteractable way to get Koitsukai back in the drop mostly.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I got one guy
Interesting
with the pitch him effect. One guy fell for it, which, if it happens, but if you play him, he's a 30K swing, and he's another way to get Koitsukai back in the drop if you had to Overwhelm early.
Gotcha.
Koitsukai put a lot of work, and you needed a way to put him back into the drop without, you don't sometimes they won't attack you because they just leave their energy open with whatever kind of floodgate they have, and you don't get a chance to power burst at him back. And you obviously you have the unison you can just throw him away on, but if you don't have him, then there's nothing you can do. So if you brainwash, put him back into the drop, then do your thing, then they've got to, either take a 30K that can turn into a 40K double striker with a Champa, or, just eat some cards from hand.
Yeah. That's
Either way.
Really awesome that you got to utilize him like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you just wanted a way to get Koitsukai back. And honestly, sometimes you wouldn't have an Overwhelm, so he's just a 30K beater.
There. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people overlook that. Like I forget all the time. I'm like, oh yeah, you can Overwhelm him, yeah.
Yeah. I Overwhelmed him, and the guy thought I was messing with him. So, yeah, he looked at it, he thought, oh, it's an Overwhelm 6. Because I just thought that was a gotcha card. I was like, but nobody falls for it. Everybody's always trying to poke you down to 1 and then game you with the leader. And there's nothing you can really do about that. But, if you can kind of do the same thing, but you need Koitsukai to get their hand low. Because that's the Kais are plus 10K, super combos. You don't keep a very big hand. So you're 30Ks and you're keeping your anti-floodgate cards active. So it was just a way to get Koitsukai back in the drop without having to walk right into her a post or anything like that.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. So we have 3 Koitsukai in the build, and then also the 3 FDC. Just given on how much you've talked about how often you're double striking people, did you ever wish you played a 4th? I'm just curious.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, when you draw them early, you generally want to keep it. Like if
Mhm.
you open with it, you want to keep it because you don't want to mill it.
Right.
But if you
Right.
keep it and you draw a bunch of other clunky things, you're
Yeah,
wishing
then
it
your
was
hand's a
something.
mess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible because basically my mulligan was how many self awakeners can I get in one hand because they're just good damage or they're good to just sit there. Either way, if your Goku's sitting there, your opponent has to figure out a way to get rid of them, or anytime they counter, they're losing a card. You know, they're minusing unless they're getting something back on a dimension magic from life or something like that, and they're still just going even. And they don't want to do that. So any of those they want to get rid of, and you just don't want to waste any energy because you don't use your energy too much past the first two turns.
Right. That makes sense.
Free overround, free stuff. Yeah, you just want to Koitsukai with your energy or Champa with your energy. And honestly, the leader is the only safe thing to go in on. So you want to make sure you have a good way to end the game that way.
Nice. Nice. Okay, cool. And then last for the battle cards in the main deck, we have the SCR Kai as the SCR of choice. So I was surprised at this one. I was honestly, when I looked at your list, I was like, oh, this is aggro. I was expecting to see Pan. And then I was like, oh, Kai. So what made you pick Kai over Pan?
I didn't have a pan.
Ah, okay.
that, that and if I had a pan, it would still be a toss up because you sometimes need to get rid of the unison. And against Soul Striker, it can be kind of oppressive with the trunks always being, well, do they have it?
Right.
And if you Kai, then you force them to trunks the Kai or they lose the option to trunks anyways.
Yep.
So they might as well get rid of a 40K that can poke lethal and get rid of the unison. So they're forced into a corner there. Well, I have to hit the Kai. And then
Sure.
you're free to do your other plays as you will. And
Gotcha.
then, yeah, it was just good against stuff like that. And if
Oh,
you
yeah. I
do
mean, the
go into
card's great for sure.
yeah,
Very
it
powerful.
cost in one, it cost in one was rough.
Yeah.
Worst thing that happened all day though was someone panned away my Kai.
Oh, wow.
And then yeah, I was forced to use the Kai or potentially lose. They had swung with the trunks unison, so they had a second swing with him. I Kai'd and they didn't use their leader swing yet. They couldn't use the second trunk swing. Then he plays Pan. Swings with the Pan, it steals my Kai and then clears my board. And I was like, so that felt bad. It would have been the same similar situation if he had stole my Pan, just poked at me with 40 that way. So rough, but I enjoyed her. She came up. She put in a lot of work in the few games that you don't mill her off or when you do see her. So she was incredibly helpful. Cleared a blue unison, cleared the 4-drop Meki Cabra one time that she came
Nice.
in. So that helped a lot.
Nice. Nice. Okay, cool. So the Unison card, you've already mentioned it. You main the Gotenks Unison, so not too much to say on that one. And then for extra cards, it was just the 3 Power Burst, and then that was pretty much the whole main list. So let's hop into the side because I'm really eager to talk about that. Because the side deck, like you said, you did switch to more mid-rangey and control cards. Um, so I have to start with the Bardock Unison and the Demigris. So what was your game plan here? What were you siding out? When are you bringing these in?
Typically, if you're siding in the Demigra, you're just taking out the fighting against fate. You're just switching gears, and they're siding in floodgates. And at that point, most floodgates, be it the violent rays, whatever floodgate matches the color, it usually has a discard cost. So my thought process was turn 1, stick a Goku. Not many people have a way to deal with it. Turn 1 anyways. Turn 2, drop a Demigra or Bardock, depending on what kind of game you're playing. If you think they're going to floodgate you, well, that's 4 cards out of their hand right there. And they're not going to take the chance that you're not just going to, they just witnessed you turn 2 kill them. So they're going to be extra cautious. Most people are anyways.
Right.
So, and the Demigra is 100% damage if it goes through. Nobody combos out of that. So, and it's just even better if they have a unison stick, because most people choose to go first. Pretty sure everybody chose to go first. And then they drop their unison, get their play set up. So with a Goku on board, Demigra automatically ripping a card out of hand. And then they just dormant potential, for example. That's 4 cards out of their hand right there.
Sure.
And then you're just swinging at their unison. So they're not gaining any value back. You work their hand down to 1 or 0, and then you just sit there and poke at them with your leader.
What matchups during the tournament did you bring them in for?
I brought it in against Soul Striker in top 16. That it was really good there, blue. And then I brought it in once against King Cold. Didn't see it. I still end up had to go aggro that game.
Okay.
It was just a different path to aggro, more or less, just unison pressure, because he just didn't attack my unison for some reason. And then it just got too many markers on it to deal with. Stuff like that. And then he was oddly enough a guy who went in with double strike, and I brainwashed.
Nice.
Yeah, he wasn't expecting it. He went in with the double strike, like 5-drop Frieza, just comboed up to like 90k. I'm looking with my 3 cards in hand, like, okay. Just brainwash.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man. And I see the 3rd brainwashed in there. Did you side that in for that matchup?
No, I didn't side it in.
You didn't
for
side
that
it in?
matchup.
Okay. So you just saw one of the 2 already in there.
To keep that riposte at bay.
Gotcha.
You don't want to get double posted.
Yeah.
They have to think. And the counter plays that they play, the little steadfast Goku, any of those, it just makes them think about it a little more. Because if they want to counterplay him right off the bat, that's fine. But then they see you put Koitsukai back in, makes them start thinking again. Right. And plus, most people just go all in on you. They're very sparing seeing the brainwashed in the main anyways. So sometimes you can just side the brainwashed out if you don't need it. And they're feel comfortable with that.
That's fair. And then we see the obvious blue hate. So 2 Vegeta and 2 Gohan. So I was really curious, why not just go with 4 Vegeta? What was the reasoning for Gohan?
People who aren't, I've noticed this because I did play in a real life event in Chicago, and some people get extra scared of that little Gohan. I decided it and not Vegeta when I was playing Hatch, because I was playing Hatch up there, and that little Gohan just put people on tilt. And obviously the Vegeta for another thwarting target and whatnot.
Man, that's so funny you play Hatch. I feel like Vegeks is one of my favorite decks, and I played Hatch at Nats, so it's just really funny. Those are the 2 decks you're talking about.
Hatch was a completely different way of playing. I played Hatch, and sadly I got 9th at that top 8 event with it.
Oh.
It was. Yeah, I got 9th. I was so discouraged. So when I heard about this event, I just had to go.
Nice.
Yeah, it was, and plus they can't get rid of it. It just sits there and it makes them think.
Oh yeah, you don't very strong. Yeah.
Back, yeah, and then the way you go through your deck, you're gonna hit a Vegeta anyways. So
sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And then the last card in the sideboard we have yet to talk about is Petrification. Obviously a great card. Was there any matchups that it became relevant? I'm assuming Soul Striker might have been relevant with Kefla running around, or I don't know. When did you bring it in the tournament?
Just against Soul Striker. I had it in there Yeah, I had it in there for the 8-drop Gogeta if I ran
Yeah.
into anybody
Yep.
playing that. You don't want that to happen. There's certain, if someone tried to Kai me, like they're usually gonna swing with the Kai first.
Sure.
Then you just petrify it so they can't activate her, all that good stuff. Anything like that, just every matchup has their thing that they can do potentially that'll get you. You don't want to get just blasted away by another Kai or anything. Kefla is rough. The 8-drop Gogeta if people try to stall you out and then just rip your hand to pieces. Other people's Demigras if it came up. But there wasn't many black decks around. The one guy who topped with Gogeta ended up winning the event. Me and him sat around and we tossed some stuff back and forth. We didn't hardly see any black there.
Wow.
There was like one or two Gogeta Xenos in the room.
Really?
That's about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I think
everyone just
Andrew
playing
Duvall,
Icarus, huh?
Yeah, I think Andrew Duvall actually played Hatch. Oddly
Oh,
enough,
really?
but,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he was just having a good time. But other than that was about it.
Nice.
There was hardly. But it would be good against thwarting too, theoretically, if you go against Gogeta. But that's really the least of your problems with him poking at you with all the little guys.
Sure.
Especially with going down to 4 so early.
Yeah. Well, man, this was great. The deck looks really solid, and now that we've gotten to talk, it makes some of the ones that I wasn't sure about makes way more sense now. Congrats again on your top. That's a huge accomplishment. Anything else you wanted to add, or any shout outs you wanted to give?
Just shout out to my buddy Daniel who went down there with me, pressuring him to get in there in the next event, either Texas, Miami, or Louisville. Shout out to you guys over there at Hermit Style. I appreciate this. It means a lot getting to come on here, let people pick my brain, because this is my second favorite deck I never got to play.
Nice.
Never got to play it. Always scared it was going to get banned. Was always just reluctant to pick it up. And I was like, okay, it's been errated. It's had its time. I can go rogue with it.
You're ready.
Yeah. I did pretty scary guy in the room. So.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, it's been a blast. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it.
I got the real one problem on my back every day. I got the shed this way, to try whatever way. You got the big boy problem, go to school every day. You got the